Hey there, it's Kat and this is Brews and Reviews. In today's video I'm going to be going through my March TBR, and this month I'm actually going to take part in some readathons. Some readathons, two readathons. I'm going to be taking part in Femathon, and I'm going to be taking part in the Battle of the Books bracket readathon. I think that's what it's called. I'll leave all the information for both of these readathons down below. They're both month-long readathons and they both sounded really interesting, as well as me being able to cross over a bunch of the prompts. That's why I'm not doing separate TBRs, because you'd just be hearing me talking about the same books over and over again. You get enough of that in my wrap-ups and tag videos. Okay, so the Battle of the Books bracket readathon sounded really interesting to me. I think it's based on basketball, but basically it's based on a sport in which I do not comprehend how this works. I don't know. I think you're supposed to put things in brackets and then predict who's gonna win. I picked the 8-book bracket option because I kind of thought that that would be the easiest way for me to still be able to mood read and still take part and predict things. And if I finish this really early, which is doubtful, very doubtful, but if I do have some miracle of chance in which that happens, then I could just do another 8 one later and we'll just pretend that it was 16 all along. Yeah? Okay, so the first 2 books I'm pitting against each other because they are both last books in the series. So I feel like I already know a little bit about the story and kind of what to expect from it. So I kind of thought, instead of going in with a favourite for any of the ones I hadn't read, I'd pair these 2 together so it was slightly fairer, I guess? I don't know. So I am going to be reading The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the last book in the Raven cycle and I'm excited to read it. I know a lot of people are disappointed by this end book, but I don't know, I'm excited for it. If you don't know what the Raven cycle is about, it's about a group of teens who are searching for a dead Welsh king. And they may actually find him in this one. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I don't. So the book that the Raven King is going up against is The Fate of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. So this book is the 3rd book in the Tearling trilogy, and I'm interested to see what will happen in this one. I'm buddy reading it with Kayla from Crack Into a Good Book, and we're just interested. The second book went in a completely different direction and was a bit of a letdown from the first book, so I don't have super high expectations with this book, so I don't think it's gonna win this bracket. I do think The Raven King will win, but then again everyone has like mixed feelings about the last book in the Raven cycle, so who knows which one could win. I still don't think it'll be this one, but like, it's worth a try. Okay, so on the same side I'm also going to be putting Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Byron, mostly because I'm really excited to read this book. Also, look at the cover, it's so gorgeous. It's one of those like really matte, picturesque covers that I just really love. So this is a sapphic Cinderella retelling in which women have little value to their society, and if they don't get picked up by a man at the ball then they aren't worthwhile. I don't know, something happens to them and the main character doesn't want to be chosen by a man because she fancies her friend. So I'm intrigued. I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about this one, but I've heard some really good reviews and I am psyched to read it. So alongside that book, I'm going to be pairing Paranormalcy by Kirsten White. This is a book that's on my 2021 physical TBR, and honestly, I don't really know what it's about. On the back, in big letters, it says vampires, werewolves, fairies, and shifters. So it's just going to be a paranormal urban fantasy romance, I'd imagine. And that's all the hopes I've got for it. So honestly, I feel like Cinderella is Dead is probably going to win this one. But you never know. I am in the mood for like fairies and shifters and stuff at the moment. So I feel like maybe this one could come out of the blue and take the crown, I guess. But I still think that Cinderella is Dead is going to win, so. So now we'll move on to the other side of the brackets, and then I will say who I think is going to win overall. So the first book on that side is Slay by Brittany Morris. This is another one that I've been really looking forward to reading and is on my 2021 physical TBR, so I'm like, yes, I can actually finally sit down and read this one. This book is about a girl who is a game developer for this game that is exclusively for black gamers, and I think somebody dies and then people are like, oh, it's racist. So it sounds really interesting and it sounds like it could be really relevant to today, so I'm really intrigued to actually get to it and read it. I've heard really, really good things about it, so I'm very excited. I'm pairing that one with a book that doesn't sound like it probably should be paired for it. It's The Colour Purple by Alice Walker. So this one wasn't originally my pick here, but it was because it fit with Femathon, so technically I switched a few things around. But I have been wanting to read The Colour Purple by Alice Walker for ages. I know that it is very impactful for a lot of people. I've not seen the film, so I don't really know what it's about at all. But I have it on audiobook and I'm really intrigued to actually finally read it. I feel like this is the hardest one to sort of pick, but I think I'm going to say that Slay will win this, simply because The Colour Purple is an older book and I am in the mood at the moment for like easy reading, more modern stuff, and I feel like I will just gel a little bit better with Slay than I will with The Colour Purple, but I'm still looking forward to reading both of them. The next two books are both digital, so I'm just going to deal with pictures instead of me holding anything up. Just imagine. Ooh, imagination. So the first one on this list is Akane by Lynette Noni, and I literally know nothing about this book, except the fact that I think it's a magic school book, and Jenna from Just a Little Bit Random loves it, and like it's about time that I actually read it, so that's what I'm going to be doing here. I'm going to be pairing that one with A Deal with the Elf King by Elise Cover, and I don't know anything about this one, I'm not going to lie. The cover was just like gorgeous, and it looks like a fae thing, I guess elves, but like, you can see why I'm intrigued with it. So I decided to pair these two together because I know very little about them, and they're both sort of digital format, so I thought they'd be a good pairing. I've heard very mixed things about A Deal with the Elf King, but I think Akane might win this, so I'm gonna say that it's gonna win, but I really have no idea because I don't know very much about them. I'm just going purely off of what Jenna said, so woo. So I think that means that the Raven King goes against Cinderella is Dead, and I think the Raven King might win. I don't know if that's purely because of the attachment that I have to the series from the previous books, but I don't know, I think it might clinch it for me. Who knows? I could be terribly, terribly wrong with this. And I still feel like I'm going to love Cinderella is Dead though. I feel like I've only picked these books because I think I'm going to love them, so who knows what's going to happen. And then on the other side we have Slay versus Akane, and I'm gonna say maybe Slay will win because I know that it's a magic school in Akane and that's not my favourite trope ever. So that's why I think that Slay might just outpip Akane. So then finally that puts Slay against the Raven King, and I think Slay might win. I'm really excited to read Slay. As much as I'm like, oh yeah, the end of this is going to be really good and I'm like psyched for it, there's something about this one that's just really drawing me in and I'm really excited to read it. So I'm gonna say Slay's gonna win, and I'm really bad at predictions so I could be totally wrong with this, but you know, we're gonna go with it anyway. Okay, so now we're moving on to Femathon, which has actual prompts, and I'm not going to explain anything about the books that I've already talked about because you just heard me talk about them, so why would I? So the prompts on this are in a bingo board, and I'm not planning to complete the whole bingo board because I don't want to read a non-fiction book. So the first prompt is to read a classic, and for that one I'm going to be reading The Colour Purple by Alice Walker. The next prompt is to read a femme-positive book, and for that one I'm going to be reading Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. And the reason that I think that this is going to be a femme-positive book is because the first book in this series, Get a Life, Chloe Brown, was really positive, and I don't know, I just felt like Chloe sort of empowered herself throughout the book, and I feel like this is kind of a fake dating trope relationship. And I think the Brown sisters are quite strong, so I'm really intrigued, and I feel like this will be a femme-positive book. The next prompt is BIPOC Rep, and for that one I'm going to pick Slay by Brittany Morris. The next prompt is Platonic Femme Relationship, which apparently is really hard for me to say because I just had to say that like 6 times. Anyway, the book that I'm going to be picking for that is Point of Origin by Patricia Cornwell. Please ignore this ugly cover, it's ugly, but it's the book that I've got, so we're going with it. Anyway, the relationship that I'm going to be talking about in this is the main character Kay Scarpetta and her niece Lucy, because I think that their relationship is kind of mother-daughtery, but it's aunt-niece, and I know that this book in particular is going to be a very turbulent time for them because a woman from Lucy's past is basically trying to ruin her career and her aunt's career because she was in a relationship with her, and apparently the FBI were not happy with queer people, at least in this book, I guess. I can't remember when this is set, so I don't know how dated some of the views are going to be in, so it's going to be really interesting to read this one because organisations don't like queer people sometimes. Also, please don't write queer in my comments, because as much as I like it when you do, YouTube deletes your comments. I've had that happen to me a number of times. I've had a bunch of people's comments be deleted. Just be aware that if you try and write queer, the comment's probably going to get deleted. Thanks, censorship of YouTube. The next prompt is Wildcard, and for that one I'm picking The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater. It's written by a woman. Also, I really like Blue and Kala and the different psychics that live in Blue's house, so I am intrigued to see what will happen there, and I think that can count for Femathon. We'll just pretend there's no boys in the Raven boys. The next prompt is LGBTQIA+, and for that one I could have gone with Point of Origin, but I'm going to go with Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Byron. I'm also going to be using this one to cover the prompt Femmes Fight Back, because I think it's all about the main character going against society's expectations, so I think it'll count for that. The next prompt is Disability or Neurodiversity. So I had so many books that could have counted for this, and because I'm taking part in an autistic readathon next month, I can't use any of those. So I was like, damn it, just 1 month later and I could have crossed over a bunch. So what I'm actually going to do is reread A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer, which is something I've been wanting to do so I can actually continue with this series. The main character in this book has cerebral palsy, and I'm just super into it. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I read this one before, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars because I fucking loved it. So I'm excited to reread this one and continue with the series. As I said before, I'm not doing the non-fiction prompt, so that actually covers all of the prompts for Femathon and all of the things that I'm going to be reading for the Battle of the Books bracket readathon. So, okay, that's a lot of books. And also, I'm probably going to be reading A Court of Wings and Ruin, and maybe the other 2 books in that series, because I can't help myself. I'm also definitely going to be reading some more David Gemmell books, because some of those reviews are going to start popping up on this channel, so watch out for those if that's what you're interested in. And yeah, if you made it this far into the video, please leave me a stack of books emoji, because that would be nice. Also, you can leave that if you don't feel like commenting anything else and you just want me to know that you watched the video. So if you like this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!